Hey everyone, it's the 4-gun guy, and I'm out here at the range today and I'm doing some practicing. I thought, well, I'd kind of shoot some video here, so I have my wife as my cameraman today. She came up with me, but I thought I'd run through a few stages with you. I already did one without sound, so I'll narrate that one. But this was an interesting stage at our last match. So it's culverts, and as you can see, it's 3 culverts. And sometimes what they say in the stage brief is sometimes you can stand behind the culvert and shoot. So sometimes you can do this. Sometimes you can't stand behind the culvert. So you're kind of having to do, this. And sometimes they'll say you have to have both feet on the ground. This last time, they did not say that, but they did say you can't stand behind the culvert. So here's what happens here, right? When you're here, you can set up here. You don't have to be behind it, and the target is right out there. It's 606 yards out, and if I come down on the rifle, the first thing you want to do is make sure your scope caps are off, and the second thing you want to do here is make sure that your bipod is high enough, because if you look at the angle of these, they're sloping down. So when I come out here and I get on target, and right now I'm on target. So, if you can't stand behind it, this isn't too bad, right? This isn't bad like this. However, when you get over to here, you're gonna have to do one of two things. You're gonna have to either shoot offhand. Oh, and by the way, it will say you can't go outside of the pipe either. So over here, the target's over here. So I'm really having to kind of move around and come down here, and I've got it right now, and I could get on it, but this is kind of awkward. So what I did last match is, I'm going to practice it again today, and we'll get to what the tripod's for here in a second. The last match, I set the rifle, and then I got up on top of the culvert. So let me kind of pause here, and we'll come back, and I'll show you what that looks like. Now I'm going to shoot this. I'm only doing 2 shots from each position, but I use a tripod if I can, if it's okay to use a tripod for this center stage here. And so when I'm doing that, I'm going to put this bipod all the way out there. And now remember, you have to have everything in your hand before the stage starts. So the way I do that is, if you look at my tripod video, I have my bag under the tripod and I'm lifting it up. So I have everything in my hand. Guy says, gun. I drop the tripod, place the bag. I put this on here. I've got, as I've told you before, I've basically got the rifle pointing at the target, and then I just jump up here. Now, on the rifle, I'm on the target right here. That was off to the right. That was an impact. Then I come down, then bolt is back. I did the same thing here. Come up here, aiming out there, up on the pipe, and I've got a much stabler platform here. Now I'm on the target very quickly here. Impact, impact, then I come off, bag. Now, I could do one of 2 things here, right? I could, I think what I did last time actually is I think I threw the bipod off and I came down here. This is where I bring over the tripod, and now I'm down on the target. I'm on it right here. impact, impact. So that was only 6 shots. Mag is out, bolt is back. But you see that just thinking about things, and that is what I did last time. I remember now, I just undid the bipod. So thinking about things and how you're going to shoot it. Had this been a you can stand behind stage, that you could stand behind these barriers, it would have played out differently for me. So I'm going to leave the mag out. I probably would have either used the bipod, probably would have done exactly what I did before with the bag, except I would have just stood behind, right behind here, and now I'm right on the target, right on the target, down, right on the target, down, and that's good. And then I would have run over there and done the same thing, because over here I can, again, get things situated pretty quickly. So now I'm behind it, I'm down on it, I'm on the target right there. And then I would have done the same thing on the center. So again, I think my whole point is, it just depends. Read that stage brief. See what they're allowing you to do and what they're not allowing you to do. If it says no tripods, then you're to the position of, you can do one of two things, right? I can either really use this bipod as kind of like the rest, and I can come down here. I've seen guys do this, right? And that's not that bad of a position, but I'm still moving all over the place. Or you can bring your bag, bring that tripod way up, and now I'm a little stabler here. The problem is my magazine probably would not, this magazine is empty, so we should be okay. Right, with this, you've got to really think about your bag, right? So with this, now I'm okay. Now I'm okay. I'm keeping my elbow in. I'm on target. That's pretty stable. So it just depends on what you feel comfortable with. I just like to have a tripod. And you could even, as I said, as a matter of fact, I've done this before too. Come here, tripod, down on it. I am on the target. Right there. So a number of different ways you could shoot these culverts. So with that said, let's move on to the next one. Well, this was an interesting stage that Prentice threw in, one of the match directors, and it's a boat. Now, I thought we had to get in the boat and shoot from the boat, but he said, no, just shoot from the edge of the boat. A lot of different ways you can do this. Now, the target out there is 568 yards. It's a plate rack, and we were shooting a large circle and then a large diamond with one shot each, then move. But the interesting thing is, you saw all different ways to shoot this thing. So let's look at those different ways. Okay, now I shot this the totally wrong way that I should have shot it. And I don't know why I didn't use a tripod, but I didn't. And a lot of other guys didn't either. So basically you had to shoot from within that blue tape and this blue tape. And what a lot of people did, me included, was we used our bipod here and we basically brought the gun into the boat and then we did this. Now, the problem with this is that, look at that right there. That's the problem, okay? So then you had to kind of get into the boat and you had to kind of lean in, and it was a mess. And it really, I think I shot well on this for the first stage, but man, I wasn't happy with the way I shot it. Now, how I should have shot this, or other ways I could have shot this, would have been to basically just lose the bipod altogether, and you could come here with just a bag, right? Balance your rifle, because that's what you want, is a balanced rifle. And then for here, I could have come down on my knees and I could have been on the target, right? And shot. All right, so I took the bipod off. I put my Gray Ops plate with my homemade barricade stop and the WeBad bag that goes onto the Gray Ops plate. So I don't have to screw with a bag when I move, right? So when the buzzer goes off, I can just come here, gun on, into kneeling, into the tripod. And this is a little high, but it's really not too bad. Come down, and then I'm on it, right? The thing I like about this is when I move, I can just slide down, and it said, I think 3 positions. So, okay, 3 positions, there you go. I probably didn't even need to get up there. I'm on it. I'm on it, right? And then finally, the further down you get, this is something you have to be careful of. The further down you get, I may not be able to kneel, so now I'm gonna have to come down into this stance, which again, since I am using my tripod, is not a big thing, because I still now have a very stable platform, right? And I noticed that my parallax is off a little bit here. Let me get that on before I send rounds down range. You want to make sure you got your parallax set. You want to make sure you're at a magnification that's going to allow you to find that target. All right, let's load up a mag and send some downrange. All right, well, as you can see, what I did is took off the bipod, put on my Gray Ops plate with my WeBad bag, and it's got this stop on it that I use for barricades. I'm gonna bring this down even just a little more here so the rifle's a little more balanced, has a little more balance point. And this is what I would have ran. So, you know, it would have been here, the buzzer would have gone off, I'd have come down onto the boat. I'm at the target, so remember, before you get behind that glass, you know where the target is, you're on it, that wind's really picked up. Impact. Impact. Now I'm even gonna give it a little more elevation. I could have come down. Now, I didn't have to stand up, as we said before. I could have just stayed down here and stayed on it, and because this really made me lose the target a little bit here. So I'm gonna come back down. Impact. That one, wind died a little bit. Take a little bit off, and if I came down here, let's try one from this position. Come right down here, I'm on it, perfect. Impact. Oh, that one went just below it. So, you know, again, still, even with the tripod, this boat's moving, as you can even see it rocking here. So I probably would have taken a little more time in a match. I was just trying to get through this right now, and the wind's shifting again like it does out here. So, but I wanted to just show you that this was one of the new props that they brought in, and there's a couple different ways that you could shoot this. Again, I saw some guys just using their bags, finding their balance point. So if I were to do that, it would be way up here. And then, you know, now the gun is basically balanced, and then you'd come down behind it, either do the scope, do your scope, or do the plate. I've got my hand on the plate here, and then you could but I'm telling you what, this boat is moving all over the place, so that probably wouldn't have even been good for me, again, because I'm not that young anymore, and a lot of movement. So anyway, let's let's go ahead and move on.
Well, this is an interesting stage here, and I'm sorry I didn't really do any recording of the audio here, but this is what they call the roof. So you've got three sides, one on the left, right, and one in the middle. And sometimes they will tell you you have to have all of your feet off the ground, like you see me doing here. Other times you could kneel behind the prop, but you see that it's still at an angle. That's probably about a 30-degree angle, maybe a 25-degree angle. And you see that what I've done here is I've used my bag and then my shoulder bag as kind of a double prop here. You'll see it when we move around to the other side and when I go around to the back of it though. So let's move to the middle section of it. Okay, so now I'm practicing with both feet off the ground on the middle section. So it's the same target. Now, I noticed in the video that I didn't have both feet firmly planted on that bottom support there, which kind of can get you off kilter here. But you see, again, I quickly found the target, and it was a pretty stable position. So you just want to make sure that you've got the right height in bags that you can rest that buttstock on. Well, now for some offhand shooting. So again, both feet off the ground. This is really tricky, but I think I've got this one mastered, I hope. So basically what I'm doing here, and I really wish I had moved that camera to the right more. I didn't have my wife taking video on this one. She was in the truck cooling down. But really what I did is I stacked those bags. So I had the fortune cookie, or it's actually the Wee Bad Tater Tot, as the base bag. And then the bag that I have around my shoulders, I actually stacked that on top of it. And this really gave me a very solid platform. And I impacted both shots from this position. It was just a matter of adjusting the bipod legs. So I had that level cant in the rifle. But this one, I'm really comfortable now with this offhand shooting. I even shot with my left hand.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this video on these stages. I want to do a lot more of this because, you know, it's hard to do it when I'm in the match, just because I'm getting ready, I'm preparing everything else, and I just don't have time to set a camera up at the right angle and all that stuff. So I really liked how I was able to present the options for shooting off these different props to you today. So I've got a lot coming up. I promise you I've got the Zero Compromise scope review coming up. I think I finally got the right camera adapter, so when I shoot through the scope, it'll come out crisp and clear the way I've wanted it to. And yeah, and then I've got some other things. We're going to do a primer comparison. That's my next video that's probably going to be coming out. So anyway, thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for the comments, the likes, the subscriptions. And of course, until next time, shoot straight.